My name was written on the door, but I had never been inside that room. New York City, 2015. The warehouse on West 27th Street didn't look like a place where something evil could hide. From the outside, it was just another crumbling industrial building, its bricks stained with time, its windows dark like blind eyes watching the street. But inside it was alive. The faint smell of paint thinner clung to the air, mixed with something older, something damp and rotten, like fabric left to decay in darkness. The fluorescent lights above flickered, buzzing softly, like a dying insect trapped in glass. Emma Carter had been sitting alone for hours. Her fingers moved mechanically, stitching fabric together under the dim light. The needle slipped in and out, a rhythm that almost drowned the silence. Almost. Because tonight, the silence wasn't empty. It was watching her. At the far end of the shared workspace, the hallway stretched into darkness. The doors along it were slightly open, just enough to reveal black gaps inside. It always felt like someone might be standing behind one of them, waiting. Emma shook the thought away and focused on her work. "You're just tired," she whispered to herself. That's when she heard it. A voice. Low, close, right behind her. "Still working?" Her hand froze mid-stitch. The needle slipped, piercing her skin. A drop of blood spread slowly across the pale fabric. Emma turned. A man stood there. She hadn't heard footsteps, hadn't heard a door open. He was just there. Late 50s, maybe older. His face was stretched into a smile that didn't feel real, like it had been pulled too tight. His eyes, they didn't blink. Not once. "I didn't mean to scare you," he said softly. But his voice didn't match his face. It was too calm, too steady. Emma forced a nervous laugh. You work here?" The man tilted his head slightly. For a moment, he didn't answer. Then, "I've always been here." Something about the way he said it made the air feel colder. Emma swallowed. The fluorescent light above them flickered violently for a second, and in that instant, she could have sworn his face changed. Just for a split second, like the skin didn't fit him properly. Then it was normal again. She blinked hard. "Sorry," she muttered. "Long day." The man stepped closer. Too close. Emma could smell him now. Not sweat. Not cologne. Something else. Something sour. Like damp cloth sealed in a box for years. "What are you making?" he asked. She hesitated, then showed him her phone, scrolling through her designs. Fabric twisted tightly around mannequins. Bodies wrapped. Bound. Restricted. "I was inspired by the feeling of being trapped," she explained quietly. The man leaned closer. Closer. His breath brushed against her ear. "Trapped," he repeated, almost whispering. Then he chuckled. A low, broken sound. "You don't need fabric for that." Emma's stomach dropped. Before she could react, his hand touched the table, right next to hers. His fingers were wrong. Too long. Too thin. Like they had too many joints. She jerked her hand back. "I should get back to work," she said quickly. The man didn't move. Didn't blink. Didn't step away. Instead, he leaned in closer. So close his lips nearly touched her cheek. "I have a room down the hall," he whispered. His voice dropped lower. "Darker. We could make something together." Emma's heart started pounding. Loud. Violent. But then, she noticed something. Something that made her blood run cold. Behind him, on the concrete floor, there were no footprints. No shadow. Nothing. Like he wasn't really standing there at all. The lights flickered again. And this time, the hallway behind him looked different. Longer. Deeper. Impossible. And at the very end, a door, slowly creaking open. Emma looked back at the man. But he was already smiling wider now. Too wide. "I've been watching you for days," he said softly. Waiting. The lights went out. Complete darkness swallowed the room. And in that suffocating silence, Emma heard something move. Not in front of her, but behind her. Very slowly. Very close. Something whispered, "Don't turn around." When the lights went out, the world didn't go silent. It changed. The soft hum of electricity died instantly, replaced by something heavier, thicker. The kind of silence that presses against your ears until your own breathing sounds you alien. Emma didn't move. Her body refused. Her eyes were wide open in the darkness, but she couldn't see anything. Not the table, not the walls, not even her own hands. But she could feel it. Something was standing behind her, close enough that she could feel a faint warmth against the back of her neck. And then, a breath. Slow, deliberate, rotten. Emma's lungs locked. "Don't turn around." The whisper wasn't human anymore. It was layered, like multiple voices speaking at once, slightly out of sync. Her survival instinct screamed at her to run, but her legs wouldn't respond. Think, think, think. Her hand slowly slid across the table, searching blindly. Her fingers touched something cold. Metal. The scissors. She grabbed them tightly. The second her fingers closed around the handle, the lights flickered back on. Harsh white light flooded the room. Emma spun around instantly. Nothing. No one. The space behind her was empty. Completely empty. Her chest heaved as she stumbled backward. No, 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 no. Her eyes darted around the warehouse. Everything looked normal. Too normal. The tables. The fabrics. The mannequins standing still like silent witnesses. But something was wrong. Very wrong. The hallway. It wasn't the same. Emma's gaze slowly shifted toward it. It looked longer. Far longer than before. The doors along the sides were now fully open, revealing pitch-black interiors. Not dim rooms. Just darkness. Thick. Endless. Like each doorway led somewhere that shouldn't exist. And at the very end, that door. The one she hadn't noticed before. It stood slightly open, swaying gently as if something had just passed through it. Creak. The sound echoed unnaturally, stretching longer than it should. Emma swallowed hard. Her boss's office should have been down that hallway. Just a short walk. But now, it looked like it could take minutes. Or hours. Or worse. Never end. Get out, she whispered to herself. Just leave. She grabbed her phone. No signal. The screen flickered once. Then went black. Dead. Of course. Her heartbeat pounded in her ears as she backed away from the hallway. But then, a sound. From inside one of the rooms. A soft dragging noise. Like something heavy being pulled slowly across the floor. Emma froze. Another sound followed. A faint, muffled whimper. Her stomach twisted. Someone else was here. Hello, she called out, her voice trembling. Silence. Then, a whisper. From inside the dark room. Help me. It sounded like a woman. Weak. Broken. Emma hesitated. Every instinct told her not to go closer. But what if someone really was trapped? Hurt. She took a slow step forward. Then another. The air grew colder with each step. The smell returned. Stronger now. Rotting fabric. And something metallic. Like blood. She reached the doorway. The darkness inside felt wrong. Too thick. Like it wasn't just absence of light, but something physical. Blocking her view. Hello, she whispered again. The voice came back. Closer this time. Right from inside the room. I'm here. Emma tightened her grip on the scissors. Where? A pause. Then, right behind her ear. I'm right here. Emma screamed and spun around. But there was no one there. No one in the hallway. No one behind her. But when she turned back toward the room, something had changed. Inside the darkness, a shape was forming. Slowly, like something emerging from deep water. A figure. Tall. Unnaturally thin. Its limbs stretched too long, bending at angles that shouldn't be possible. And its face. No, not a face. Just a smooth surface. Except for one thing. A mouth. Wide. Too wide. Splitting across where its face should be. And it was smiling. Emma stumbled back, her breath catching in her throat. The figure took a step forward. Its movement jerky. Unnatural. Like a puppet pulled by invisible strings. And then it spoke. In the same layered voice. You should have left. The lights flickered violently again. And suddenly, the hallway was full. Figures. Standing in every doorway. Dozens of them. All tall. All twisted. All watching her. Not moving. Not blinking. Just watching. Emma's grip on the scissors tightened as tears blurred her vision. Her voice cracked into a whisper. What do you want from me? The man's voice answered. From somewhere behind all of them. Calm. Smiling. We want you to stay. The door at the end of the hallway slammed shut. With a deafening bang. And every single figure took one step forward at the same time. Every single figure in the hallway stepped forward. At the same time. The sound echoed unnaturally. Dozens of feet hitting concrete in perfect sync. Emma couldn't breathe. Her body locked in place as those things, whatever they were, began moving closer. Their movements weren't human. Too sharp. Too sudden. Like frames missing from reality itself. One blink. They were closer. Another blink. Closer again. No, no, no. Emma stumbled backward, her hand tightening painfully around the scissors. The nearest figure tilted its head. Too far. Farther than a neck should allow. A cracking sound followed. Loud. Wet. like bones snapping and resetting. And then it smiled. That same impossible smile. Its mouth stretched wider, splitting unnaturally across its face, revealing darkness inside instead of teeth. Emma turned and ran. Her footsteps slammed against the concrete as she sprinted away from the hallway, her breath coming in broken gasps. "Help! Someone please!" Her voice echoed through the warehouse, but came back wrong. Distorted. "Please, please, please." Like the building itself was mocking her. She didn't stop, didn't look back. She ran past tables, mannequins, racks of clothing, until she froze. The exit door. It was gone. In its place, just a wall. Solid. Unbroken. Emma stared at it in disbelief. No, it was right here. It was right here. Her hands slammed against the concrete. Cold. Real. No door. Behind her. Footsteps. Slow. Unhurried. They weren't running. They didn't need to. Emma turned slowly. The figures were no longer rushing. They were walking. Casually. Like they knew she had nowhere left to go. And at the front, the man. The same one from before. But now, something was wrong. Very wrong. His face looked loose. Like it was slipping. His smile stretched too wide. The skin around his mouth pulling unnaturally as if it might tear at any second. His eyes. They were darker now. Too dark. Like empty holes. "I told you," he said calmly, his voice echoing slightly. "You don't need fabric to be trapped." Emma shook her head, backing away. "What are you?" The man chuckled. But this time, other voices laughed with him, layered beneath his. Dozens. Hundreds. "You already know," he said softly. And then, he reached up, slowly, gripping his own face. Emma's stomach dropped. "No, no, no." He pulled. The sound. It was wet. Tearing. His skin peeled away like fabric being ripped apart. Underneath, there was nothing human. No flesh. No bone. Just darkness. Moving. Shifting. Like something alive was wearing him. Emma screamed. The other figures began to move again. Faster now. Surrounding her. Closing in from every direction. And as they got closer, she saw it. Some of them were wearing faces. Not their own. Different ones. Stretched. Distorted. Like masks made from real skin. One of them stepped closer, and Emma's heart stopped. Because the face it wore was hers. Same eyes. Same lips. Same terrified expression. But twisted into that same horrible smile. "No, that's not me." The thing tilted its head and whispered, "I've been practicing." Emma dropped the scissors. Her hands were shaking too badly to hold them anymore. "This isn't real. This isn't real." The man stepped closer again, now only a few feet away. The empty darkness beneath his torn face pulsed slightly, like it was breathing. "You showed me your designs," he said. "Binding, wrapping, trapping." He leaned in closer. And now, Emma could hear something moving inside him. Scratching, crawling, trying to get out. "We learned from you." The figures closed in tighter. Their arms began to stretch. Longer, reaching toward her. Fingers splitting into thin, thread-like strands. Like fabric unraveling. "No, stay back." Emma turned suddenly and ran blindly toward the hallway again. There was nowhere else to go. Her footsteps echoed as she sprinted down the endless corridor. But something was wrong. Very wrong. The hallway wasn't ending. It kept stretching, getting longer. The doors on either side began to slam shut one by one as she passed them. Bang, bang, bang. Each slam louder than the last. Faster, closer, like something was chasing her from behind, even though she couldn't hear footsteps anymore. Only whispers, right next to her ear. "We're almost done." Emma's breath broke into a sob as she finally saw it. The door at the end, the one that had slammed shut before, now slightly open again. A thin line of darkness leaking out from inside. She didn't stop, didn't think. She ran straight toward it and threw it open. The moment she stepped inside, everything went silent. Completely. No footsteps. No whispers. Nothing. Emma stood frozen in the darkness, her chest rising and falling rapidly. Then, a sound. Behind her, the door slowly closing. Creak. Emma turned, and what she saw on the other side made her blood turn to ice. Because standing in the hallway was her boss and the stylist. But they weren't moving, not speaking, just standing there, smiling. That same unnatural smile. And their skin, it didn't fit them properly. The door slammed shut, cutting them off, locking Emma inside the darkness. And then, a voice whispered from right in front of her. Now it's your turn to wear something new. Now it's your turn to wear something new. The voice didn't echo. It didn't come from the walls. It came from everywhere and nowhere. Emma couldn't see anything. The darkness inside the room wasn't normal darkness. It felt thick, suffocating, like it was pressing against her eyes, refusing to let her see. Her breathing became shallow, fast, panicked. No, she whispered, stepping backward. Her foot hit something, soft. She froze. Slowly, hesitantly, she reached down. Her fingers brushed against fabric. Cold, wet. She jerked her hand back instantly, but it was too late. A smell hit her, rotting, sweet, sickening, like something that had been sealed away for years, finally exposed. The lights flickered, just once, for less than a second, but it was enough. Emma saw the room, and she wished she hadn't. Mannequins, dozens of them, standing in perfect rows. But they weren't made of plastic. They were covered in skin, real skin, stretched tightly over their bodies like clothing. Some were stitched together crudely, different shades, different textures. Arms that didn't match torsos, faces that were slightly misaligned, and every single one of them was smiling. The lights went out again. Emma stumbled backward, her hands shaking violently. No, this isn't real. A soft sound came from the darkness. Footsteps, slow, dragging, getting closer. You understand now, the voice whispered. Emma shook her head frantically, tears streaming down her face. No, stay away from me. Something brushed against her shoulder, lightly, like fingers trailing across fabric. She screamed and spun around, but there was nothing there, only darkness. Then, a hand grabbed her wrist. Ice cold, too tight. Emma gasped as she tried to pull away, but the grip tightened, bones pressing, crushing. Perfect material, the voice murmured. Another hand grabbed her other arm, then another, and another. They came from everywhere, from the dark, from the walls, from the floor. Dozens of hands, all gripping her, holding her in place. Emma thrashed, screaming, kicking, but they didn't let go. They only pulled her deeper into the room. You like the feeling of being trapped, the voice continued softly, mocking, twisting her own words back at her. So we made it real for you. The darkness shifted, and then the lights came on. This time, they didn't flicker. They stayed. Emma's breath caught in her throat. She was standing in the center of the room now, surrounded. The mannequins were closer, much closer, too close. Their stitched faces stared directly at her. And then, one of them moved, just slightly, its head tilted, a slow, unnatural motion. Emma's heart stopped. No, another one moved, its arm twitching, then another, and another. One by one, they all started moving, not walking, not stepping, just adjusting, like something inside them was waking up. Emma looked down, and that's when she saw it. Threads, thin, dark, wrapped tightly around her wrists, her ankles, her waist, trailing upward, connecting her to the ceiling. Like a puppet, she tried to move, but her body didn't respond. Instead, her arm lifted on its own, slowly, against her will. No, stop, stop. The threads tightened, digging into her skin, and then they began to pull. Emma screamed as her body jerked upward slightly, her feet barely touching the ground. The mannequins stepped closer now, fully moving, surrounding her, and at the front of them, the man, or what was left of him. His face hung loosely now, half torn, revealing that shifting darkness beneath. "You'll look beautiful," he whispered. The threads around Emma's body tightened even more, and then they started cutting. Thin lines of pain spread across her skin as the threads dug deeper. Not slicing fast, not clean, slow, deliberate, like someone carefully removing fabric. Emma's screams filled the room, but no one came. No one could hear her, because this place was no longer part of the real world. The man stepped closer, reaching out. His fingers brushed against her cheek. "Don't worry," he said softly. "It only hurts while you're still human." Emma's vision blurred. Her body shook violently as the threads tightened again. And then suddenly, everything stopped. Silence. The threads went slack. Emma collapsed to the floor, gasping. The room went still. The mannequins froze again. The man stepped back slowly, watching her, waiting. Emma didn't understand. What are you doing?" The man tilted his head and smiled. That same broken smile. "We're not finished yet," he said. "We're just making space." Emma's blood ran cold. Space for what? The man's voice dropped to a whisper, and for the first time, It sounded excited. For what's already inside you. The lights exploded into darkness again. And this time, Emma felt it. Something moving under her skin. Something was moving under her skin. Emma's scream ripped through the darkness as her body convulsed violently on the cold concrete floor. It wasn't imagination. It wasn't fear. It was real. She could feel it. Crawling, sliding, pushing from the inside, like something trapped beneath her flesh was trying to get out. No, get it out. Get it out of me. Her fingers dug into her arms, scratching, clawing, desperate to tear her own skin open. The darkness around her pulsed. Breathing. Alive. Then, the lights flickered back on. Slowly, one by one, Emma's body went still. Her breathing stopped for a second as she looked down at herself. Her skin. It was moving. Small ripples traveled beneath the surface, shifting unnaturally, like something long and thin was weaving through her veins. And then, a shape pressed outward from her stomach. Clear. Defined. A hand. From the inside, Emma let out a broken, choking scream. The skin stretched, thinned, and then it tore. A wet, sickening sound filled the room as something pushed its way out of her body. Not blood. No. Something darker. Thicker. Like liquid shadow. The thing slid out slowly, unfolding itself as it emerged, its limbs stretching unnaturally as it separated from her. Emma collapsed, barely conscious, her body trembling violently. The creature stood, tall, thin, dripping with that same dark substance. And then, it turned toward her. Its face. It was hers. Perfectly hers. Same eyes. Same lips. Same terrified expression. But then, it smiled. That same horrible, unnatural smile. No, Emma whispered weakly. The thing tilted its head, studying her, like she was the copy now, like she was the wrong version. Behind it, the man stepped forward again, clapping slowly. Once, twice. The sound echoed too long, too hollow. Perfect, he said softly. Every design needs a final piece. Emma tried to move, to crawl, to escape, but her body didn't respond properly anymore. It felt loose, disconnected, like it didn't belong to her. The creature that wore her face stepped closer, mirroring her movements slightly, but not exactly, like it was learning, practicing. You made this possible, the man continued, his voice calm, pleased. You showed us how to wrap, how to bind, how to shape something into what it's not. Emma's vision blurred as tears streamed down her face. You're monsters. The man smiled wider. No, he whispered. We're artists. The creature reached down and grabbed Emma's chin, forcing her to look up. Its fingers were cold, too cold. And then, it spoke, in her voice, perfectly. I've been watching you for days. Emma's heart stopped. The same words, the same tone, everything. It was becoming her. The man stepped closer again. And now, he said softly, you'll become part of something greater. The mannequins behind him began to move again. But this time, they weren't just moving. They were turning toward Emma, slowly, all of them. And as they did, Emma saw something that shattered what little hope she had left. Every single one of them had a face she recognized, some she had seen in the building before. Artists, designers, people who worked here, all of them, worn, used, displayed. Her breath broke into a weak sob. They're still here, she whispered. The man nodded slightly. Of course they are. The creature wearing Emma's face leaned closer, its lips inches from hers. And then, it whispered, you will be too. Emma tried to scream, but no sound came out, because something was already wrapping around her throat. Thin, dark threads, tightening, pulling. Her body lifted slowly into the air again, the threads digging deeper this time, not just into her skin, but through it, inside it. Her vision faded, darkness closing in from the edges. The last thing she saw was herself, standing there, smiling, perfect, alive, while she faded. The next morning, the warehouse looked normal again. Sunlight poured through the dirty windows. The smell of fabric and paint filled the air. Everything exactly as it should be. Emma sat at the table, stitching quietly, her hands steady, her face calm, perfectly normal. A new intern walked in hesitantly, looking around. Hi, I'm new, she said nervously. Emma looked up slowly and smiled. Warm, friendly, human. Welcome, she said softly, her voice gentle, perfect. But as the girl stepped closer, she noticed something small, something wrong. Emma's shadow didn't match her movements. It lagged behind slightly, like it was learning how to follow her. And from the far end of the hallway, a door slowly creaked open. Creak. Emma's smile widened just a little more. "I've been watching you," she whispered. The end. Or maybe not. If you made it this far, then you already know some stories don't end, they continue. Emma thought she survived, but maybe she was never meant to leave that warehouse. And maybe some of you listening right now are not alone either. So before you close this video, look around you just once. Because what if something has been watching you the entire time? If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because the next story might be even darker. And tell me in the comments, what would you do if you were trapped in that warehouse? I read every comment. Sleep carefully tonight. I'll see you in the next nightmare.